This is the Pokemon champion of the Shinobi region, but before Naruto can face off against him, he must first defeat the teams of the Elite Four, who happen to be some of the most powerful Shinobi of the modern era, but also the strongest Pokemon trainers, the Kage, Tsunade, Ei, Mei, and Onoki. Let's go, Naruto, your first challenge awaits you, Granny Tsunade here. She's a master of grass Pokemon, and so it's only natural that she leads with her Tsarina, a very strong psychic grass type Pokemon. And yeah, I think it just makes sense that Tsunade would use one of these. When you look at those legs over there, seriously, this thing can crush skulls with moves like high jump kick or drop kick. In fact, I didn't actually know that this one was a move even until making this video, and I love that it's a thing. It's a powerful grass type physical move that embodies what it means to be a Hidden Leaf Shinobi, I think, and when she needs to really show her enemies her true power, she busts out a devastating Giga Impact. Tsunade must have taught her that one in case a pesky Susanoo appeared. After all, her hits are strong enough to break it, and so are Tsarina's. And with its Queenly Majesty ability, priority moves like Extreme Speed are just completely blocked out in general. I mean, you can try and use your speed to defeat her, but be warned, you'd have to be yellow flash levels of quick in order to get by this one.
Okay, Sarina, I see you.
Yeah, Naruto, you probably shouldn't underestimate her. She is the 5th Hokage. Of course she's gonna be strong. And so is her next Pokemon, the Wicked Serpent Serperior. You see, I kind of felt like I needed to give Tsunade 2 Pokemon that embodied her fellow Sannin, Orochimaru, and Jiraiya. And Serperior here represents the former, as you can probably guess. This slick grass snake fits the creepy and arrogant Orochimaru vibes. Its job is to stun enemies with the move Glare, something it did learn, by the way, in Gen 7, so you can thank Orochimaru for the genetic breeding to make that possible, I guess. And then it unleashes powerful Leaf Storms. Now, normally, Leaf Storm would lower your special attack, but Superior's ability, contrary, makes it raise its special attack when it would normally get lowered. A very powerful strategy, very fitting for one of the legendary Sannin. And if you somehow manage to get past that one, you next need to deal with the fearsome dancer, Hisuian Lilligant. I just needed to make sure that Tsunade had this sleeper threat of a grass and fighting Pokemon on her team as well. This regional variant was actually a gift passed down to her from her grandfather, the legendary god of Shinobi, Hashirama. He told her, "This is the last one of its kind and fought alongside me in the First Great Ninja War. Treated well, Tsunade, and then vanished one night suddenly out of nowhere." And so of course she lets it go wild against strong opponents like Naruto here. Its bread and butter comes in the form of its move Victory Dance, which raises its speed, attack, and defense stats by 1 stage all at once. And so if you give it 1 or 2 turns of setup, it can then crush opponents with a raging flurry of blows, axe kicks, solar blade, and grassy glide, absolutely crushing anything in its way. And since this one is holding the special item, the Power Herb, that Solar Blade, it gets really nasty powerful and can be used in a single turn instead of the usual 2. Of course, this next Pokemon should also look pretty familiar, especially to you, Naruto, because it is Shiftry, but what's up with its hair? Oh wait, it's a pervy tree. Alright, Tsunade is paying heavily tribute to her good friend and low-key secret love interest Jiraiya with this next Pokemon.
Girl, you can do better. Pick me instead.
Honestly, everyone got mad at me for not including this dude on Yamato's team in the gym leader video, and this was why. Also, he was already on Naruto's team from the original Shonen protagonist video I did a while ago, but I did need to bust him out here one last time for Tsunade, I feel. He's pretty strong, but even when that doesn't work, Tsunade is then forced to summon the mighty power of Lady Katsuya, her epic Slug Summon. And from that icky goopy slime comes a menace unlike any other, a Pokemon that's been said to wipe out entire small nations with its powerful jutsu. It is the divine starter Pokemon, Mentargo. And I mean, come on, you shouldn't be too surprised, Naruto. She trained your friend Sakura after all.
Hell yeah. I love the derpy little face on this one. It's giving, I can crush your soul, but I'm also just here for a good time.
Exactly. Mentargo is a grass and psychic type Pokemon with the ability Magic Bounce. No status moves here, this thing is just completely immune to everything. And with its unique move, Sakura Rebirth, it has heavy sustain healing of 30% of its health and has a high chance to randomly raise a stat. So combine this with Synthesis and Leech Seed plus the move Psychic, and this thing can wall just about about anything except for Naruto's partner Pokemon, Assaultoad. And so now Tsunade only has one last Pokemon remaining, her ace in the hole, the epic Shinobian Florges. It's a grass and fighting variant of this flower Pokemon, and I kind of figured that this would really fit the Kage title as it's a masterful leaf shinobi, quite literally. With the 1,000 sealing marks engraved in her head and those sick thorn-like knuckle dusters, she packs a punch unlike anything else. Susanoo, broken. Heads shattered. Spirit crushed.
Back? Shocked.
No. We just, no.
Yes, chef.
Anyways, Shinobian Florges also has the ability Iron Fist and gains access to strong moves like Power Up Punch and the absolutely nightmarish Rage Fist that gets stronger the more the user is hit. And since it also can unleash a healing move like Drain Punch, it gets healed and hits with insane power at the same time. So pretty much classic Tsunade behavior if you ask me, but it still wasn't quite enough to take down our main man Naruto. And so Tsunade, quite proud honestly, hands him a special necklace and ushers Naruto through into the next room. And here, the powerful electric type Elite Four member, the 4th Raikage, A, is awaiting him. And you know what's up, he's just on the attack right away and punches Naruto clean in the kidney, and only then does he throw out his first Pokemon, Iron Hands. This beefy electric and fighting Pokemon from the Paldea region packs a pretty mean hit. It activates the unique item Booster Energy, increasing its already pretty insane attack stat, and prepares to fight. It's trained upon the highest summits of the Hidden Cloud and is ready to unleash powerful lariats in the form of Thunder Punch and Supercell Slam. In short, he's a raging beast, a very fitting lead for the unruly. And honestly, I think he just wants to keep that going with Pawmot, another electric and fighting type Pokemon here. As you probably know, A's a very straightforward man. His Pokemon hit hard, and they're pretty fast. And I realized that his Pokemon needed to give it everything they had after he fought Madara, and so Pawmot stepped up with its signature move, Double Shock. It's a super high power electric type physical move that removes the electric typing from Pawmot afterwards, showing its dedication to going truly all out. And after that, A shows off his mighty power of facial hair with his Alolan Golem, but this thing is no joke since it actually uses black lightning just like A's student Darui. A fun little flavor and tribute to, the next Raikage, and legend says that this Golem is even capable of single-handedly defeating Killer Bee's entire team with its mighty earth power attack. Yeah, a gym leader was swept by one Pokemon, and that's what I'm calling truly terrifying.
But what if he had like a Fu Manchu? That would be sick.
Sure, I guess. If Golem falls though, A can channel the power of his spiritual brother B to use his water and electric type Rotom Wash. With a Yosei-Ho, this washing machine helps A's super big ground weakness with powerful hydro pumps and a ground type immunity with its ability Levitate. It is the perfect pivot mon for A, who is all about quickly engaging and disengaging with his lariats, and that's why Rotom uses Volt Switch as well, letting it quickly switch out for another Pokemon on A's team.
Alright, I want to do the next one. It's Pinkerton, a super cute little guy who sets the electric terrain. Oh, and what's that he's holding? A terrain extender? Aw, that's rad. With it, he'll be able to make his electric terrain, a field effect that boosts electric-type Pokemon's attacks by 50%, last up to 8 turns. I wonder why he waited until now.
Oh, Pompon, that's because he wanted to ensure all 8 turns of that terrain were used on his ace Pokemon, right? The God of Thunder, a Pokemon almost as fast as the 4th Hokage, it is the unruly tank Shinobian Conkeldurr. I hope I pronounced that correctly. Shinobian Conkeldurr embodies the spirit of the Raikage. It's as fast as lightning since it has the ability Search Surfer, and thanks to this, its speed doubles in electric terrain, fitting A's role as a speed demon. And it even has this signature blue lightning of the Raikage. And of course, it's learned from all of A's techniques too. It uses the move Seismic Toss to simulate A's Liger Bomb, and its Wild Charge is based on the double lariat, even utilizing those 2 big pillars to perform that very thing. And when push comes to shove though, he can also just throw out a beastly guillotine drop with his high horsepower attack, and if everything else fails, he goes all in with one of my favorites, a simple double edge. match. In other words, a mighty Pokemon for a mighty man, but Naruto barely scrapes through. So, A gives Naruto a massive pat on the back and sends him into the next room where the baddest baddie in all of Naruto awaits him because she's hotter than lava and her hips flow like water. It's the Mizukage, Mei.
Muy caliente.
Agreed. Mei is a fire and water Pokemon master, and that is quite perfect since she's an absolutely insane Mizukage. In case you didn't realize, Mei's actually also a water and fire release user. Sure, she's mastered her Magma release and uses it a bunch, but she can also use Boil release, a blend of fire and water, so I think it's only fitting that the team embodies both halves of her chakra mastery. And she leads with the majestic water-type Pokemon, Milotic. Again, Gen 3, one of my faves. Her entire team is themed around fierce beauty, and Milotic's the perfect first team member for this. Especially since it gains access to the absolutely busted move Scald, a very high-power special water move that has a chance to burn the targets. And I like to think that this Milotic is actually a fire release user too, and that's how she heats up the water. Plus, I had to use Milotic here because they're both redheads, right? It's a match made in ninja heaven. Which I like to imagine is distinct from regular heaven. But anyways, if Milotic isn't enough, Mei unleashes her Delphox, the other epic redhead on her team. It uses the insane heat from its psychic fire to burn targets with moves like Flamethrower, Mystical Fire, and, again, a favorite, Overheat. Unfortunately, Naruto's Greninja did prove to be the superior Gen 6 starter here, forcing Mei to use her own water starter, Primarina. Because if Delphox brings tyrannical heat, Primarina uses its siren song to drown opponents in destructive waves. Now, Mei's last name actually means shining beauty, and that's quite fitting for this Pokemon in particular, since Primarina's name combines the words prima donna and ballerina, two professions kind of known for their own elegance and beauty. And honestly, if I were Naruto, I'd be worried if this thing shows up with moves like Surf, Alluring Voice, Sparkling Aria, and Dazzling Gleam. I've even heard that this Primarina Surf can leave the targets burned, but as far as I know, that's just a rumor, not confirmed. When necessary though, Mei isn't afraid to get physical, as seen in her battle with Madara Uchiha. And so when the time comes, she rides into battle on her own Arcanine. This Firehound can hit fast with the priority move Extreme Speed, and when it's time to burn through the enemy's defenses, it gives everything it has with a powerful Flare Blitz.
What a good boy. You deserve a little biscuit.
He's a pretty good boy. Naruto, you have to be careful with this next one because I've heard it is quite toxic, just like Mei's boiling acid attack. It's the fire and poison Pokemon Salazzle, which is so much fun to say. Fun fact also, Salazzle can only be a femme fatale, so it's a perfect match for Mei and her burning acid attacks. Especially with the 1-2 combo of Toxic and Venoshock. Toxic of course poisons the target, and Venoshock does double damage due to that very status condition.
Britney Spears would be proud of you for that one, Mei.
And it does seem like Naruto is on the ropes here, and so Mei's about to send out her final Pokemon, Shinobian Lopunny. Its flaming rage is said to only be rivaled by the first lady of Konoha, Kushina Uzumaki. And let's be honest here, if you thought I was gonna give Mei anything but a signature Lopunny, you're absolutely crazy, man. I mean, come on. It's just way too perfect, no?
Hey Manu, did you know that in terms of male human and female Pokemon?
It is the living manifestation of Mei's Magma release, of course, and the flames on its body are said to be hotter than any of Mei's jutsu. And that can also be seen through its ability, Solid Rock. The flames and rocks on its body are so sturdy and hot that it lowers the damage of super effective moves. This lets Lopunny go to town with fearsome moves like Blazing Torque and Fire Lash, and if it needs to knock some sense into a stupid man, it rips out a super fast Axle Rock or Rock Slide. And needless to say, this thing is beautiful and beastly, matching the stunning and terrifying Mizukage. Luckily for Naruto though, deep inside of him lies his mother's chakra, and it helped guide him through the fury of this Lopunny, helping him secure a win. Mei shakes Naruto's hand, a hand that he'll never wash again by the way, and sends him to the 4th Elite Four member, and waiting patiently at the end of the room, hovering 5 feet off the ground, is the Tsuchikage himself, the master of particle release, Onoki. And don't let his old age fool you, Naruto, he is one of the fiercest ninjas alive. With his ground and rock team, he will crush you into a million billion tiny little pieces. He's incredibly wise, knows several nature releases, and is surprisingly limber for his age. Like, I don't know, but did you see him catch not one, but 2 meteors? He's a real badass. And so is his first Pokemon, Glizzr. I don't know, I kind of felt like this fits him incredibly well, seeing as it's a ground flying type. It sort of just flies around and looks ready to grab anything in sight, and it kind of reminded me a ton of Onoki, you know, using his jutsu to fly around and grab that heaven concealed in his battle with Madara. And Glizzr works super well because of its typing, but also because it uses the move Acrobatics, embodying Onoki's oddly athletic body and fighting style. This move does a ton of damage if the user doesn't hold an item, and luckily Glizzr of course doesn't have one. Afterwards, he then uses 2 rock Pokemon that represent his age and status as a Kage, Garganacl and Tyrantrum. Now, Garganacl is this beastly mound of salt rock, which definitely fits Onoki's old grumpy nature.
Just say he's salty and move on.
Let me just have some fun, please, alright? But fine. His Tyrantrum embodies that mighty leadership as a Kage that Onoki has, and of course, it balances out his personal small stature, since this is just a massive T-Rex. But I also think that it's just the closest thing Pokemon has to the particle release, seeing as Dragon-type moves are very magically destructive by nature too. Which is also why the moves Outrage and Scale Shot are so freaking powerful when Tyrantrum uses them, as it embodies the pure power of destruction that the particle release has as well. Of course, Onoki is a warden of defense as he defends the mighty Hidden Stone Village, and that's why he busts out his ultimate shield, Bastiodon, to defend his pride and his home. And since he's very clever, Onoki also tries to make sure he has some extra type coverage on his team and uses the goofy menace Toadscroll to cover those pesky water types that rip into his ground Pokemon. This grass and ground Pokemon uses the moves Power Whip and Earth Power to fend off any of Onoki's major enemies. But since Onoki is so clever, he knew that if he wanted to get truly the upper hand on his foes, he'd need some sort of epic genjutsu to handle them, so he gave his Toadscroll a Focus Sash, guaranteeing that it would survive a critical hit, and also taught it the move Spore. He saw the first Hokage use a very similar technique to put his enemies to sleep and said, "Give me some of that," and then if all else failed, he just summoned his Pokemon with an unbelievably high battle IQ, because it said that the only man smarter than this Pokemon was the prodigy of the Hidden Leaf, the 4th Hokage. That Pokemon is his particle release master, Shinobian Orbeetle. This psychic and ground-type Pokemon is short and stout, very much like Onoki, and he aims to deceive enemies with his small size and then boom! Delete them with an epic particle release blast. With Lumina Crash, it can lower the enemy's defenses, and then it throws out a fearsome mystical power to raise its own special attack. With Shore Up, it's capable of healing the damage done to it, and then finally, it's ready to unleash a fierce particle release, Clanging Scales. And while that may seem like an out-of-place move here, I think it's very fitting as not only a powerful Dragon-type move, which I've already said kind of reminds me of the particle release altogether, but also because Onoki's title is Onoki of both scales, representing his desire to remain neutral during wartime. Now, Clanging Scales may refer to scales of a dragon, but I do think that in Orbeetle's case here, it's referencing his master's unwavering scale. Luckily, Naruto's able to take care of business somehow, defeating Onoki, like, really on the last tooth. Nonetheless, Onoki pats him on the head and deletes the doorway into the final room. Now, only the champion awaiting Naruto, and are you ready to face the single strongest shinobi of the region?
Holy sh**, Naruto! It's your dad!
Yeah, the original child of prophecy, the savior of the world, Naruto's own father is the champion. I don't know who you expected. I personally felt it was only right, seeing as Naruto's entire goal was to surpass the 4th Hokage throughout the entire show, and now, Naruto, it's time for you to see if you've truly got what it takes to defeat him and take your place upon the throne of the Shinobi region. And Minato's lead, of course, is his very own Ninetales, fitting off his own role as half of the Ninetales Shinchuriki. And it's of course exactly the same special variant as Naruto's, with the little wing eyeliner liner that Kurama rocks too. And you know, Minato's story is so centered around that one night where he sealed the Kyuubi away that I felt it was only fitting that his first Pokemon would encapsulate exactly that. And it uses its fire typing and moves like the powerful Fire Blast that truly embody Minato's will of fire. But, of course, when type coverage is necessary, he can throw out a nasty Tailed Beast Bomb inspired Shadow Ball at his opponents too. If Ninetales is taken care of, Minato then pivots into his Lucario, donning the Hokage cloak itself, which, in Pokemon terms, is actually a covered cloak. If you're not familiar, that's an item that prevents all of those pesky additional effects from other moves. And considering that Minato is the fastest ninja around, it's only fitting that his Lucario can only be touched by the initial hit, not those lingering extra moves on top. And I also just found Lucario to be the perfect match for Minato, as Aura in Pokemon is just essentially Chakra, right? And Lucario's Aura Sphere is practically a long-range Rasengan. Minato stealing those moves from his son and grandson, it seems, and teaching them to Lucario right here.
Not to mention Lucario learns Extreme Speed, a move that represents the Yellow Flash, better than just about any other Pokemon move.
You're absolutely right, Pompon, but I do think that we can embody the title of Yellow Flash maybe even better than just that, right? Because that's where I think his Luxray comes in. It's a fierce physical Pokemon that can use Volt Switch to switch places with another one of Minato's Pokemon, setting up a much more advantageous situation, kind of the same way that his Flying Raijin technique does too.
There's something else here that just feels right. And I can't quite place my finger on it.
Well, while you're gonna figure that one out, I'm just gonna go and talk about the rest of this dude's absolutely wild team. Because as the champion, going forward, he has not one, not two, but 3 original Shinobi region Pokemon. The first of which is Assaultoad. This is the beast of Minato's team. It's the last evolution of one of the original starters from the Shinobi region, and it's the second Pokemon he has in common with his son. Assaultoad is of course based on Jiraiya sensei, and so it's only right that Minato has one, as Jiraiya was his sensei. And Assaultoad is a fire and fighting Pokemon, which definitely fits really well with the whole Will of Fire physical nightmare thing that Minato has going on all the time, and with its signature move, Roasting Thwack, it literally is perfect for Minato's team overall. Because in case you didn't see the starter video, this special move hits like a truck, but it also boosts the speed of Assaultoad, letting his body flicker technique rival that of Minato's after 1 or 2 turns of setup if he lands it. Though I do think we can do one better here, and that's where his Shinobian Alakazam comes in. This psychic and fighting, very high IQ fighter ditches the spoons in favor of the signature Flying Raijin Kunai, which I gotta say, one of my favorite designs that we've done here. With these, he can absolutely dominate the battlefield by teleporting around and delivering piercing strikes to enemies out of nowhere. This Pokemon is incredibly rare because catching it requires the user to outspeed an Abra's teleport, meaning that you only get 1 shot to land a Pokeball unless you can put it to sleep with a sneaky Genjutsu. Luckily, Minato is the one character that's just fast and respectable enough, and his Abra very quickly evolved into Kadabra, which he quickly traded with his wife Kushina to evolve it into Alakazam. A perfect Pokemon that has trained alongside him on his way up the ranks, all the way to Hokage and becoming champion. And a very big part of what makes it so great is his ability, Unseen Fist. You see, since Minato is the master of breaking through anyone's defenses, including the mighty Kamui, it kind of felt right that Alakazam here had an ability that let him break through the moves Protect and Detect, meaning that there simply is no hiding or protecting from this merciless shinobi. With the moves Sacred Sword and Psycho Cut, it takes advantage of its same type attack bonuses, and then with the Tachyon Cutter, it can bust out a quick double swipe combo. And if everything else fails, it busts out a final Gambit, feigning and taking its target down with it in true Minato canon fashion. Which, if you've been paying attention, means that we're now down to Minato's ultimate and strongest Pokemon, and his son is 1 KO away from becoming champion, but Minato has a really big ace up his sleeve, a Pokemon he has never used before because its power is so freaking haunting. This is one of the legendary Pokemon of the Shinobi region, Repicure. This nightmarish ghost and normal type Pokemon is the living representation of Minato's Reaper Death Seal Jutsu. At its center lies a powerful Rasengan core, a nice little nod to the man who, let this thing loose, Its ability, Shadow Tag, is the first step of its haunting battle strategy, as it's a ceiling Pokemon after all, so naturally it has an ability based on the ceiling tags from Naruto. And this mark prevents the opponent's Pokemon from ever switching out, forcing it to defeat Repicure or feint trying, and fainting is very likely to happen since Repicure has the move Spectral Thief, allowing it to steal any stat raises that the enemy has and use them to its own advantage. Yeah, that's right. Good luck setting up anything with this Spectre on the screen. If that doesn't work, or it's facing a normal type Pokemon, it tosses out an Aura Sphere for some added type coverage from the Rasengan on its chest. But it's also hiding a secret weapon, because with the move Last Respects, Repicure is the Phantom Menace. This move scales in power based on how many members of Minato's party are down, allowing this thing to drop godlike attacks and reverse sweep teams with absolute ease. However, Naruto has his good friend Assault Toad by his side, and its scrappy ability allows it to unleash a mighty close combat to wrap everything up, and with one last beastly punch, Naruto and his partner have defeated his father and become the champion of the Shinobi region. A full circle tale of a boy with a dream completed, but he's not the only young man with a goal of becoming the very best. In fact, there are several who started on their journeys with epic teams, and a lot of them are stronger than even Naruto, so if you want to see what crazy other teams the shonen protagonists have, check out this video right here. Otherwise, thanks so much for watching. This was so much fun to make. If you want to see me make more of these, let me know. Otherwise, I do have another anime that I want to make a Pokemon region for, so hopefully you'll come check that one out as well. All right. Sleeping.